Welcome. This is Mary Kovach from Erie One BOCES Winnie Rick, and this is writing projects in PowerPoint online. So in this webinar, we'll be talking about specifically two types of online creative writing projects. So the first kind is nonlinear, and that is a choose your own adventure. So choose your own adventure. You may remember those books from years ago. They actually have some online versions of that now. So the idea is you have a choice as to which direction your story takes. And here's an example that I did a number of years ago that I've just kind of put back together to show you what I mean by a choose your own adventure in PowerPoint. So for example, this one I created for a Native American Iroquois project where students would experience a day in the life of a Seneca boy or girl. So you can see within here, I still have some images, some links to things such as a journal, which is a Microsoft Word page they could copy and keep track of their journal. And some other hyperlinks out to some information, depending on which slide they were on. So again, this is sort of a story, sort of a web quest as well. So you see students then can choose if they're a boy or girl. And then depending on which slide they're on, it links to different pieces of information for their adventure / web quest. And there are some other links here, but you see they can choose cooking or beadwork and choose to go to one of those areas. So you see that really I could go back to the home page and start all over at any point. So that's what I mean when I say it's sort of a non-linear story. Okay. Now, the other option I'll talk about in here, let me go back to my, the other option is animated comic strips. Okay, here we go. So the example I have here is for a vocabulary term, for example, idioms. So when I click on here, this is linear, which means I'm just using my click or my arrow forward to go from slide to slide. So it's not by clicking on particular parts of that slide. So you see now I'm clicking. So I'm in PowerPoint Online. The dog says, hey, did you know that it is raining us? Cat says, what? And the animation is kind of slow when they're recording. Again, it's animation with the text coming in speech bubbles that you can make really go as fast or slow as you want, and even do some other animation effects as well. And then you see in here, I give the definition of idioms. Okay, so those are the types of writing projects that we'll talk about here and how you can create those in PowerPoint. So we'll talk about some of the benefits first. So benefits of animated comic strips. So if students have a choice, let's say in a final writing project, they give students another option for the type of project they would like to make, as opposed to, let's say, maybe just a strict factual or a book report. They can create something in comic strips. So it allows for a lot of creativity then on the students' parts, and yet it uses a format that a lot of students, especially those who may read comic books, are familiar with. And as you saw, it can incorporate both visual and written information. So incorporating characters, images, some animations as well. And this really does then help with, since it is linear, narrative writing skills. And of course, for a lot of students, it's going to be fun to make a comic strip. I know my son likes to do that just on his own, kind of make his own comics with characters. And I can't wait to introduce him to some of these as well. He's in second grade right now. Hopefully pretty soon he'll be ready for this as well. So some ideas for comic strips in the classroom. So students can illustrate a concept from class. So again, if you're a science teacher and you think, well, how is it that I can use narrative writing? It could be properties of science or scientific concepts that they've learned. So for example, the process of photosynthesis, maybe the plant is your character. So it could be something showing properties or a concept. Okay, or if you are in ELA classroom, ELA studies, students can retell a story or a portion of a story that they have read for class. Perhaps even taking the stance from a different character's point of view. Let's say if it was a work of literature that was from the first person. Okay, and again, history class, students can reenact a famous scene from history from the point of view of one or several of those historical figures, possibly even a little historical fiction work in there. Students can tell about themselves with an autobiographical comic. So I know, especially on YouTube now, sort of popular is that kind of draw your life, where students, or I guess any individuals, famous YouTubers, are illustrating their life as an autobiography and making it sort of an animated comic. Students could do something similar here. And again, as you saw with my idioms example, students can make a comic that uses vocabulary words for that week or particular unit of study. Okay, so now we'll talk about benefits of choose your own adventure writing, and then we'll get into some of those strategies to begin with. So again, it provides unique options for student projects. Again, this could be possibly an option if you had projects where students have a choice in the type of project they create, whether it's a report, a video, or it could be something like this that would be interactive for other students to use. And within this, students gain experience in logic, because there is some logic involved in saying, if you choose this, then it goes to this option. So it is nonlinear thinking, and it involves logical thinking as well. And yet, even though it includes this very left side of the brain, students can be creative, bring in both sides of their brain, incorporate research as well to enhance their story. Now, students can use just text, but what's also nice is you can include other media elements. So as you saw in my example, I have some links out to more information. You could make it sort of a web quest if you're creating this for students. But as you saw, you could easily put images into PowerPoints. Also, you could embed videos that may have some more information. So that's an option I'll show as well, how you can embed YouTube videos into PowerPoint slides. And of course, this can be fun, both for the students or teachers who are making it, or for the students who are participating in reading this sort of interactive writing. Okay, so some ideas for choose your own adventure. Again, retell a piece of history or rewrite history based on the options that you choose. And again, you can explain the steps of a scientific process, such as cell division. Solve a mathematical problem. So that might be kind of interesting way to work through math. Tell a story in a foreign language. So it could be traveling to a foreign country, and what do you do? Or just it could be a story that you know, for example, a fairy tale. Turn that into a fractured fairy tale where you can choose your own ending, but students can use something familiar in the foreign language they're studying. You can promote character education through either an inspirational story or a story where the reader has to choose between various choices. So showing how good choices can lead to a good result. And of course, They can also, if they've been reading a particular novel, they can retell that novel through a choose your own adventure, or possibly write their own narrative to how they might like to see that story end, as opposed to what the author chose. Okay, so we're going to get started looking at ways that you can start your choose your own adventure style of writing. So again, if it is a topic where you have research involved, you can use what's called the Research tab in Microsoft Word. And this is in the client software. And when I say the client software, that means the software that's installed on your Windows machine. Unfortunately, they don't have the same options, not all of the same options, in the Macintosh operating system version of Microsoft Word. Also, regardless of what version you're in, whether you're working on a Mac, PC, or in your Office 365 online, there are some add-ins that you can use for research as well. So we'll take a look at that. For example, the Wikipedia add-in. So as you're sort of working on, for example, an outline for your story, you can do some quick research on the side through what's called a Wikipedia add-in. Okay, so I'm just going to click here. So when you have access to this presentation, you can either install it right through here by clicking Get It Now, or shortly I'm going to open Microsoft Word and show you how you can get these add-ons for yourself. Okay. So again, I do have some templates here if you wanted to use. You could download some of these templates, but I'll also show you how you could start your own templates. So one way that I suggest is to create an outline first. Okay, so I do have an example here. If you wanted to just take my example, but take out my text, my sort of sample story here, you have the option to click on these three dots, and you could download this, and it would download as a Word document that then you could use on your PC. Okay, or what I'll do is show you how you can start in Microsoft Word, and you can go through this process on your own of using a tool that's called Smart Art, and using a form of that called hierarchy. So what I'm going to do is open up Microsoft Word on my computer. Okay. So again, right now I'm on the PC. I'm going to click on Word 2016. Okay. And in this case, I'm going to start with a blank document. Show you how you can build your own outline using that Smart Art hierarchy. Okay. But before I do that, I'm going to click on my Insert tab and show you how you can get those add-ins. Okay, so from the Insert tab, you're going to click where it says My Add-ins. Okay, now if you don't have any add-ins yet, it's either because you haven't installed any or your district hasn't pushed any on for you. So what you would then do is click where it says Store. Okay, and you can do this in Office 365 as well. And then you can either look through the categories that are here, or you can search your add-ins. So here, I'm going to search for Wikipedia and click Enter. Okay, and then you would click Add. So a lot of these, even though it does say Store, a lot of these are free add-ons. Now, some might say may require additional purchase or might actually give you a subscription fee. So some are paid subscription, but a lot of them also, if they say free, you can just click Add. And then what happens is you get a little search on the side here. So let's say that we are doing a CYOA around the Revolutionary War. And click there and click my search or click Enter. And then you can see I have some information right along the side. So again, the assumption is maybe students have done some other research, but this would allow them to do a search right from the side of their document. So now I'm going to get started with my Smart Art hierarchy. So before I insert that, I'm actually just in this case, I'm going to click on my Layout tab in Word and change my orientation to landscape. Okay. So I kind of like to work that way. Okay. So now click Insert and choose Smart Art. Okay. So you can see right away, it gives me some different graphic organizers that I can put in. So if I click Hierarchy, this is sort of the idea of what you want for your outline for your Choose Your Own Adventure. Okay, so maybe I'll choose this organizational chart hierarchy. You can certainly choose any of the ones that you think might work best for you. So I'm going to click OK. And here I have my text. Okay. So now I can put in my top option here, either by typing right in the middle. So let's say this is my slide 1. And then we'll call this slide 1, option 1. Slide 1, oops, option 2. And then so on and so forth, I can add my options. Now notice how under this one there are 2, but this one is just 1. The way that you would add more boxes underneath here is I'm right here. Option 2, let's say I'll call that first choice. Okay. And now if I click Enter, you'll see that it creates another box. Oops. Now I can say option 2, second choice. So again, this is sort of setting up that outline so you can put your text in here and then translate that over into your PowerPoint. So I could call this one, for example, option 1, choice 1. Option 1, choice 2. Okay. So now if I X out of this outline, I can get it back at any time by clicking the small arrow that's on the left-hand side. Okay. And just using my Enter tools and my Tab key, so if I wanted some choices off of here, and I don't want it to be a third choice, I want it to be another level down, just click my Tab key. So I can always do Tab or Shift-Tab to move things forward or backward. So it's Tab, and then if I wanted to move it up 1 in my outline, it's Shift and Tab. Okay. And as you see at the top here, I have the option to change the colors of my Smart Art. So whenever I have that selected, I get this separate tab in Microsoft Word where I can choose my design or my format. So I have some options there. And again, for my design, here's also where, if I'm not using my outline, if I'd rather choose this, I can add in shapes before or after. So that's how you would use Smart Art. But again, if you would rather use this template, you can certainly do that. You can see I have my own story in here, but it marks off where those options go to. Okay. And then along with that, I do have a PowerPoint template. So with this, go on my slideshow here. Okay, so I'm going to click on where it says use this template. Okay, so this is kind of the same thing, only it's in that PowerPoint option. So this is already linked for you. Again, if this suits your needs, this will be maybe a great place to start. Just change it from my story to your own text. And to do that, you would need to go to the File tab and then click on Download As. And then it will become a PowerPoint that you can open on your computer. So I'm going to click Download As, and I'm going to click Download a Copy. Okay, and then it's going to download that as a PowerPoint onto your computer. Okay, and we'll just work with that in a second here. Okay, so some strategies. If you are creating your own choose your own adventure story from scratch, the way it's done is you're linking to slides. So instead of just clicking forward to the next slide, the slides can really go in any order that the reader chooses. So, and I will walk through this with you. You would select your text that you would want someone to click on to go to that option. You can select it. You can right-click and choose Hyperlink. Or you can go to your Insert tab and choose Insert Hyperlink. And now here is where, instead of linking to a web page, you want to link to a place in this document. And then you want to choose the slide title and click OK. I'll also show you how, if you want to, let's say you wanted a button to just go back to the home page and start all over again. There's an option to do that from the Insert tab in the Shapes. You can choose what are called action buttons. And there is one in there that's already set so that when you create it, it will link right back to the home page. So these are available in, again, what I call the client version of PowerPoint, which is the version of PowerPoint that's installed on your computer. Okay, so now again, I'm going to open up this PowerPoint here, the copy that I made, and click Enable Editing. Okay, let's close out of here. I'm going to enable my content. Okay. So the way this works, what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this hyperlink and put that in again to show you how this would work. Okay, so it really is kind of helpful if you have all of your slides created first with all of your possible options. And then from there, you're going to link your slides. So again, if you started from an outline and then just copied and pasted your text into here, that might be kind of a nice workflow to make sure everything works correctly. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to select my text here, my option 1, right-click, and scroll down to where it says hyperlink. Okay. So again, you don't want it to link to an existing file or web page. I want to choose place in this document. Okay. So now you can see that under slide titles, I have my various options. If you don't see them right away, you may actually have to click on the plus next to where it says slide titles. So this one, I want to link to the slide that says you wake up and it's Saturday. So once I have that selected, I'm going to click OK. And so then now what happens, I'm just going to click my Save button here in the upper left. So now when I go to view the slideshow, what happens is, if I click on option 1, it's going to take me to that slide. You see then, it links not necessarily right to the next slide, but the slide that's hyperlinked based on the option I chose. So you can see this one, I have an embedded video. Just something kind of fun because it's your perfect day and you chose your all-inclusive beach vacation. This is kind of your nice little view. And you can see in this slide, I put in that link, that action button, right back to the home page. Okay. So now to put in that option of the action button, I'm going to click back on my Insert tab and click on this drop down underneath Shapes. Okay, and then you'll see at the very bottom I have action buttons. So I'm going to click on the one that says Home. It looks like a little house. And then just click and drag on my slide. Okay, then it's going to suggest this default action of hyperlinking to the first slide. Now, certainly you could change that option. Let's say, if you had a title slide, you could certainly change that option. In my case, it actually is the first slide. I can choose to play a sound when that happens if I want, such as a whoosh sound. Okay. So now if I go here, back to my option 1. And so you can add some of those elements into your PowerPoint as well. Okay. So now we'll look at some ways to enhance this, let's say through putting in images. Okay. So now again, so far we've been working on our PowerPoint just on the computer. So I'm going to show you how you can then save that into your OneDrive. And then some of the editing you can actually do online. So for the linking of the slides, hyperlinking, you actually have to do that on your computer in the client. But a lot of the things, such as putting in images, putting in videos, you can do that right from your Office 365. Okay, so we're going to show you how you can insert pictures. Now, you don't have to have a picture saved already. If you do, you can certainly put that in by clicking on Insert Picture. But I'll show you how you can insert online pictures and just do a search right from your PowerPoint for those pictures. Okay? So this can be done either in the client or it can be done in Office 365. Okay, so let me go back to my Perfect Day PowerPoint here. So far I've been clicking Save up in the upper left, and that's just saving this file onto my computer. Okay. So I'm going to go to File. I'm going to choose Save As. And now in this case, and because I'm already signed into Microsoft Word, if you aren't signed in already, you may need to just click in the upper right corner of your PowerPoint to sign in. But now I'll click Save As and click OneDrive Erie One BOCES. Okay, and double click on my folder. Okay, and then this is going to save it right into my OneDrive. Okay. Okay, I don't actually want to save it into that folder. I'm just going to save it right into here. Click Save. I'll save it into my Building Academic Vocabulary folder. And click Save. Okay. So now that same file, okay, I'm just going to go log into my Office 365. And you can see that it's linked here as one of my recent documents. So I can either access it from there, or I can open up my OneDrive or open up the PowerPoint app online. So I'm going to click here where it says My Perfect Day. Okay. And now, since I clicked on it, I'm editing it online. If I click Open in PowerPoint, it's going to open up in my client software, the software installed on my computer. But I can also make some quick edits. A lot of things I can do right here from my Office 365 online. Okay. And what's nice about this too is that if you're working in the online environment, it saves automatically. So as long as you don't lose your internet connection, that's going to save there automatically. Okay, so now let's say that I wanted to put a picture into this slide. I'm going to click Insert and go to the drop down next to Online Pictures and choose Pictures from Bing. And Bing being Microsoft's search engine. Okay, so now I'm going to search, for example, for clock from waking up. Or I could search for sunshine, whatever I wanted to, and click Enter or click my search button. Okay, now the results are tagged with Creative Commons licenses. Creative Commons is when the users have given you the rights to, let's say, use images for non-commercial purposes. Some might require attribution. Okay. Insert. Okay, and there's my clock that I can bring in. Okay, so again, this is one that's from Open Clip Art. So I'm going to drag that. Okay. Now, if I click on it, I have some different formatting options for my picture here. I could put a frame around it, for example, if I want to. Also, if I want to put in alt text, good practice, if this is going to be something that's public on the web, if I click alt text, just put a little description of what it is. You can see this one already says a close-up of a clock. If there isn't one there, you could certainly type in your own text. Okay. So again, this is saving automatically. So here I have my picture. Okay. So now let's say that I wanted to put a video into this slide. So let me just go over what those strategies would be. Okay. And again, this PowerPoint will be available to you after viewing the webinar. Okay, so again, from our Insert tab, we're going to click Online Video. And just like with the pictures, we're going to type in a search term for YouTube videos and click Enter. And then you're going to double-click the video that you would like to either preview or insert into your slide. Now, if you're using PowerPoint online, though, you would need to actually go to the slideshow itself, viewing it from that current slide in order to preview. And then if you decide it's a video that you don't want, you can certainly just delete that from your PowerPoint. Okay, so I'm going to go back here. Okay. So let's say that I wanted this option here. And I wanted to put in, let's say, a video of a fireplace. You can see I already put in my little coffee cup here. Kind of move these over. Let's say I wanted to put in a video here of a roaring fireplace. Okay, so I'm going to click on Insert and then click on Online Video. Okay, so I'm going to search for fireplace and click Enter. Okay. I'm going to click on one of these fireplaces here, 10 hours of crackling logs. Okay. Click on my magnifying glass here. Click on the image, and then click Insert. Okay. So again, if we're working online, we actually have to launch the slideshow to preview that video. So I'm going to click my View tab and choose View from Current Slide. Okay, so now if I click play, you can see that I have my crackling fireplace. So it's something, in this case, it's kind of just adding in an interesting element, an element of interest. But for students, if you're creating it or they are, certainly it could be a video with actual piece of content. Or for example, in my Native American example, if it's the slide about picking Native American dance, you could have an actual video embedded in there of a Seneca dance. So those are some options just to sort of enhance your choose your own adventure style of writing. Okay. So now we're going to go over some options that you have for animated comic strips. So again, this is going to be linear. So as far as navigating through the slides, we're not, putting in hyperlinks from one slide to another. We're just kind of using our clicks on the slide itself or our forward arrows. But you have the option to either find some images online for your characters, or students can also draw their own characters. Now, certainly this is easier if you have a touchscreen device to use. But students can use what's called Scribble within the shape tools. So the same place where we looked earlier to insert those action buttons, you would go to Insert Shapes, and instead you would choose sort of a squiggly line that's called Scribble. Okay. So now what we're going to do is look at some ways that you can get images into your comic strip. Okay. So there are some add-ins, so similar to the Wikipedia one that we looked at for Word, there are also a number of add-ins you can use for PowerPoint. Okay, so for example, one is Pixabay. Okay, so the same thing, you would click Get It Now, and then this would be an app that you could use either in PowerPoint or Word. Okay, so I can open that in PowerPoint and click yes. Okay. And so this is just kind of giving you instructions. So once you've installed it, what happens is it gives you a little side area here to search for your images. Okay, and then you can get the same thing if you're working in PowerPoint online. Okay, another one that I've linked here is called Picket Free Images. Now, sometimes one or the other is blocked in particular schools, depending on the filters. So you might find that one will work for you and that one won't. Okay. So same thing here. I could go Get It Now, and then I could install that Picket option. Okay. I'm going to show you then how you can get started with your comic strips. Okay, so I'm just going to start a new PowerPoint. And so again, I could choose one of these options. Maybe I'll choose the droplet. Let's say I am doing something for training cats and dogs. We don't want the purple background. Maybe I'll choose that and click Create. Okay. So if I call that, and it could be several idioms. Let's say my favorite idioms. Binary. Okay. So now you can see in the upper right corner, I'm signed in as me. If you just see sort of a blank person, you can click there and you should have an option to sign in, because this is PowerPoint that is on my computer. Okay, so I'm going to click my Save button. And now in this case, I'm going to save it right to my OneDrive for Erie One BOCES. So again, if I want to, I can save it right to my OneDrive. I'm going to click Save. Okay. So when you're taking something that you're saving for the first time from your computer, but you're saving it up to your cloud, to your Office 365, once you do that, you'll notice in the upper left, your Save button might look a little bit different. It's going to be a regular Save icon, but it's going to have two circular arrows. And that means that whenever you click Save here, it's also syncing your changes up to the cloud. And if somebody else was working on this with you, if you were working together, Any changes they may have made will then show for you as well. Okay. So now I'm going to click on my new slide. And let's say in this case, I just want to start with a blank slide. I'm going to click on my drop down next to new slide. I'm just going to bring in some of my characters. Okay. So now from here, so instead I'm just going to search my dog drawing from here, let's say. Okay. So let's say that I wanted to insert this corgi. Again, this is from Open Clip Art. I can see from the link. I'm going to click Insert. Okay. So you want to look for images that kind of have that transparent background. Okay. So again, sometimes when you go to search for online pictures, if I search for dog here, some might actually have like this kind of white box around it. So let's say if I insert that one, I can do that one anyway. Oh no, it stopped working. Okay, I'll open that back up in a second. So some of the images you might find will have that white box, and that's really not what you want necessarily. You want it to look like an actual comic strip. Okay. Okay, so here's my little corgi. Okay. So once I have this in here, okay. I really am going to save. Make sure I have that saved. I probably have it saved in here twice now. Always good to save often. You never know when something is going to go wrong. Okay, so now that I have my picture here, if I click on it, notice I get Picture Tools as a separate tab, and I can click Format. Okay, so now here's where I have some different options. If I needed to crop a picture, align it differently, I could rotate it or I could flip it. So you see it's kind of giving me some options to flip horizontally or vertically. So let's say I wanted the puppy facing the other way. I can go under my rotate option and I can choose how to flip that. Okay. I'll go in. Try again. And I'll search here for cat. All right. Okay. And so let's say I'm going to choose this kitty here and click Insert. Now you see this is what I don't really want in here because it has the white around it. Sometimes though, with these, what I can do is click on it, and then from my Format tab, I can actually click Remove Background. Now some of these, now you see with this, because I had some white area, I don't want the kitty's paws or anything in here to be transparent necessarily. What I'm going to do is, instead, I'm going to mark areas to keep. Okay, so obviously I want to keep any part of the kitty. I want to keep the whites that are in here. There's that kitty. Okay, so now once I do that, I'm going to click Keep Changes at the top. Oh, well, I lost a little bit of my kitty here. So really, it is better if you can, let me get the eyeballs back here. There is the keep. I think that's what I was missing, is the kitty cat eyeballs. Okay, there we go. Now this should be a better looking kitty. I'll keep those changes. Okay, so there's my kitty. So again, some of those images might have the white around it. If you're in the client, you do have that remove background option, but it's a little labor intensive. Sometimes it's better if you find a picture that is already ready to go. Okay. So again, with this, you can use the image search as we looked before, or you can use these PowerPoint add-ins, depending on what's available at your school. Okay. Now, again, I mentioned the scribble tool. If you kind of wanted to draw your own character, you could go to Insert, to Shapes, and it's going to be some kind of a squiggly line. It might have more squiggles if you're actually choosing that from the client, the PowerPoint software, as opposed to online. But it's going to be an icon under your line tools that has a little squiggle. Okay, so obviously it's not the best example, but let me see, because I don't have a touch screen here actually. See if I can draw a little, kitty cat face here. And again, then I could fill in my shape, add more to that. Okay, so certainly you could use those tools as well and have students draw their own characters. Much easier if you actually have a touch screen. Okay, so now we're going to go through how you can add in those speech bubbles. Okay, so you can see that you can add in speech or thought bubbles by clicking on Insert Shapes again. So the same place we went to put in the home buttons for the Choose Your Own Adventure and the shape tool, so you can get to, let's say, the drawing tools. But in this case, we're going to put in what are called callouts. So the callouts are actually little speech bubbles or thought bubbles that you can put in, and you can actually put text into them. So this is an example of it right here. You're going to click on the callout that you want, for example, speech bubble, and click and drag to create that on your screen. So you can see this one was created as a blue one. If you didn't want the blue background, you wanted it to be white background, different color. Once you draw the shape, a separate tab will pop up that's called Shape Format. Okay. So now, let me go back to this PowerPoint here. Okay. I'm going to click Insert, go to my Shapes, and then scroll down to where it has callouts. So I'm going to choose my speech bubble. And now I have to click and drag on my screen. And the dog, then, I can double click in here. And I can say, hey, did you know that it's raining us? Okay. Now, some other cool things that you could do, you could add sound to that certainly as well, but I'll kind of show that when we do some animations. Okay. So that brings us to our next topic, which in here is how you can animate your speech bubbles. Okay. So again, you want to go to your Animations tab. And again, I'll show you here how you can do some editing on the computer and do some online. You can select your speech bubble and choose the Animations tab. And then you can choose how you want that to animate. Okay. So let's say now I'm going to go back to my browser. Okay, I'm going to go back to my Office 365. Let's refresh my page, and I'll click on my favorite idioms. So now you can see in here, there it goes. I have my speech bubble. Okay, so I'm going to click on my Animations tab, click on my speech bubble, and here now is how I can choose for that text to come in. So I can have it fly in, I can have it zoom in, and I can choose, depending on which animation I choose, I can choose some different effect options. Okay. Now again, this is saving automatically because we're working online. Okay. Now if I go back to my Insert tab, I can go back to my shapes, and I have to scroll down, and I can choose callouts. So let's say this one I want to be a thought bubble. Okay, I'm going to click and drag that on. Only when you're online, what's going to happen is it'll insert it, and then you have to click and drag to make that bigger or smaller. So the cat is saying, nice. And again, if I wanted to change the font, I could always select that. Click on my Home tab. I can choose size, different color, whatever I need to do there. Okay, but now let's say I'm going to animate this one as well. Make that appear and do effect options. Now, if somehow these were out of order, I have the option. So let's say that this one I wanted to be first instead of second. I could choose under reorder, move that to be earlier or move that to be later. Okay, that's going to change then the order of your animations. Now I'm just going to click to view slideshow from the beginning. And again, here I can just click on my screen or click my forward arrow. And you can see that I have my speech bubbles coming in. Okay, so now I'm going to go back to my PowerPoint. Now, I'm actually working in both environments now. This is PowerPoint on my computer. I have the same thing open online. But now if I want to see those changes in PowerPoint on my computer, I actually have to click in the upper left the Save and Sync button. So I'm going to click there. It's going to give me the message saying changes are synced. So click OK. And now you can see it syncs those changes. It pushes those changes onto my computer. So it actually works both ways there. Okay, my idioms, I have these guys here. I just need to click to refresh. Okay, so same thing here. I have my animations tab, and I do have a few other options from here. So you're always going to have some more options if you're on the client or the desktop version of PowerPoint. Okay, so you can have some different triggers. So you can have it come in automatically. You have your animation pane here. So you're always going to have a few more options if you are editing this in the computer program itself. But still, it's really nice. Let's say you don't have access to PowerPoint computer you're on. Or again, if you're just already in the online environment, the nice thing about PowerPoint online is everything saves automatically. So you noticed how before my PowerPoint crashed temporarily there. Usually you can recover the file, but a nice thing about online is everything saves automatically as long as you don't lose your internet connection. Okay. So those are some of the strategies for creating the writing projects. Now I'm going to show you some strategies for sharing. Once you have completed your writing project. So from here, oops, about that. If you're from your OneDrive, you can choose to copy that link. And again, this is something where maybe you don't want others to be able to edit it. You just want them to view it to kind of go through the slideshow. So you're going to want to change it so that anyone with that link can only view it and not edit. Okay, so you want to uncheck the editing option, click apply, and then it's going to give you a link that you can copy. Okay, so I'm going to go to, and you can do that from the PowerPoint, or you can do it from OneDrive. So again, you can click share from here. Okay. Or if you're in your Microsoft OneDrive, you can do that from here as well. Okay. I'll go to my VAV folder here. Okay, here's my perfect day. So I'm going to click just to the left of my text and icon, and I'm going to select that. Okay, so now I have just that PowerPoint selected, and I'm going to click at the top where it says copy link. Okay. Okay, so now from here, if I click copy right now, it's going to be set so that anyone with that link can also edit. Why that's the default, I'm not sure. Hopefully that will change in the future. So what I'm going to do is click on the drop down here, and I'm going to uncheck where it says allow editing. Okay, and then I'm going to click apply. Okay, and now I have a link that I can copy and I can share with others. Okay, so I'm going to go to a guest window here. Okay, I'm going to paste that link in there and go. Okay, so now you can see it's a read-only PowerPoint. Now, the only issue with this is that, well, people can kind of cheat and look ahead. So I'm going to show you a strategy if you want to avoid that. You can share it instead so that it automatically goes to the slideshow. Okay, so I have my link. Okay, and again, this tutorial presentation will be available for you. Okay, so some other sharing options. So we have our link. And as you can see, I pasted that link into a new browser tab. Now, if I want it to go right to the slideshow, so I don't see kind of those thumbnails, the last word on that link is going to say edit. I can change it from edit to the word embed view. Okay, so that will start the slideshow automatically and prevent others from looking ahead. Okay. And we'll also talk about an option where, if you want to, you can take this and you can embed it into either a website, if you use embed code apps there, or embed it into a Microsoft Sway for those of you who may already have watched Sway webinar or taken a class in Microsoft Sway, show how you can embed that into a Sway as well. Okay. So again, I'm going to paste. Remember, I already had that link copied in. Now, I do have to do paste and go. Okay, so here I am. Now, it has to be after you already go to the link. And then once you already go to it, you're going to see equals edit at the top. You're going to change that from equals edit to equals embed view. And click enter. Okay, so now you see that this link goes right to the slideshow where you can choose your possible options. Okay, and close out of here. So that way it prevents the going ahead. Okay, so your other option, if I go back to my perfect day here, is if I click File, oops, click the File tab, and click Share, and choose Embed. Okay, so let's say that I have a Microsoft Sway, or let's say all students, share their projects with me, and I wanted to put them all into one area so that they could see each other's work. Embedding is an option for that. So I'm just going to make sure this text down here is highlighted. And I'm going to right click and choose copy. Okay. And go back to my OneDrive and click Sway. Okay, so I can either create a new Sway or I can add it to an existing one. So for example, I already created one called ELA Comic Strips. So let's say I'm putting student projects here. I can do that. Click on my plus to insert content. And now from here, click where it says media, and then click embed. All right. And you want to click where it says paste your embed code here. I'm just going to click where it says paste, and then I'm going to right click and click paste. Okay. And as with any Sway, that will save automatically since we're online. So when I click play in the upper right, okay, I scroll down. Here I have my 2 Sways that are embedded. Okay. You see that I'm working through it that way. Okay. Then I'm just going to click my escape button to go back to my Sway editing. So just another option for sharing those with your students. Okay, so you log back into our online platform. So if you're viewing this webinar, you've already found your way to here. So good job. If you haven't already registered for the webinar, I would make sure that you click where it says registration link, Office 365 webinar series. Make sure you register there. Oops. Sorry about that. Let me go back. So now I do have an area here if you have questions, a discussion area. So you would click there. If you have questions about anything in the webinar that you're not really sure about, feel free to ask me a question by clicking Start a New Thread. Okay. Now, to receive a certificate, what you would need to do is take the quiz. Okay. So there is a secret code that's in there. Okay. So as I mentioned, there is a quiz that you would take. And instead of a separate quiz with a secret code, this time I actually put in a password. So what you need to do to take the quiz is to put in the password, which is writing power. So no spaces, just writing power. Go in here. Writing power, that would be the password you would need in order to take the quiz. So what happens once you successfully complete the quiz, cancel out of here. Successfully means receiving an 80% or better. So either 4 out of 5 correct or 5 out of 5 correct. Once you do that, your certificate will show up if you click News at the top of your platform. You'll see your certificate pop up here. So again, any questions that you have, feel free to post them to the discussion area here. You can also send me an email. Go back to the top slide here. Okay. You can also email me at mkovach@e1b.org. So I hope that you have enjoyed this webinar. And I look forward to seeing you in webinars next year. And have a great summer. Thanks.